All right, we are recording. If you would like to go ahead and kick it off, Stephanie.
This is a public meeting of the Tippecanoe Arts Federation's Art Project Support Grant Evaluation Panel. I am Stephanie Bible from Lafayette. Today is May 4th, 2020, and we are meeting by conference call and streaming live from Zoom. We will welcome applicants who may be listening in today and would like to remind you that you are muted for this review. There is no direct contact or conversation about the evaluation and disposition of applications before, during, or after the panel meeting. At this time, we would like the panelists and staff to introduce themselves, stating their name, occupation, and where they are from in the state.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anne Field-Monacle. I'm the program coordinator and COO of the Tippecanoe Arts Federation. And how about Phil, you introduce yourself next.
Hi, I'm Phil Patempa. I am from up north, so it's an hour earlier up here from the Valparaiso area. I work as the full-time marketing director for the Center for Visual and Performing Arts in Munster, Indiana, and also work as an arts and culture entertainment newspaper columnist for the Tribune newspaper chain, including the Post-Tribune based in Northwest Indiana.
Thanks, Phil. Vicki? Vicki, you're on mute if you're talking.
Thank you. I'm Vicki Draper. I'm a board member of Rediscover Downtown Peru, which is our Main Street group. I'm also involved with our Peru Chris Kindle Mart and our Cole Porter Festival. I had a 20-year career in fundraising in Washington, D.C. and in Indiana, and I'm retired and just working on projects.
Thank you, Vicki. Barb?
Hi, I'm Barb Lucas from Rensselaer, Indiana. I'm a retired educator from schools in many states, and now that I'm living in Rensselaer, I'm involved with the Prairie Arts Council and glad to be here.
Thank you, Barb. Jackie?
Hi, Jacqueline Varela, but you can call me Jackie. I'm the interim executive director at Hannah Community Center, and I am in Lafayette, Indiana, Tippecanoe County.
Thank you, Jackie. Amanda Finley?
Hi, hello. I am Amanda Finley. I'm the managing director at Matchbox Co-working Studio. I'm a member of the West Lafayette Public Arts team, and I'm based in Lafayette, Indiana, and have been for the last 10 years.
Thank you, Amanda. And Dr. Amanda Mays?
Hi, I'm Amanda Mays. I'm the Student Life Curricular Integration and Research Administrator at Purdue, and I also serve as a arts research consultant working on arts impact studies, and I'm based in West Lafayette.
Thank you. And Stephanie, you can take it away now.
Now we'll begin the panel review. This is how the process will work. I will announce the name of each applicant organization and then ask the first reader to begin the discussion. The first reader will provide their assessment of the application based upon the evaluation criteria and their perspective. Panelists, please note that the applications do not need to be recapped since everyone has read it. Please just provide your comments. After the first reader is finished, I will ask the second reader to present any new, additional, or opposing comments. We are not looking for consensus, just a full evaluation from the different perspectives panelists bring to the table. After the second reader has finished, I will open the discussion for final comments. Remember, in the interest of time, we are only looking for new, additional, or opposing viewpoints. If a panelist has a conflict of interest, that panelist will be placed on hold while the application is reviewed. However, there are no conflicts of interest on this panel. Finally, once the application has been reviewed by the full panel, we will give time for the panelists to update finalized scores in the online system. It is common for scores to change as a result of this broader discussion. These scores save automatically. Are there any questions? I'm going to give everybody a chance to unmute themselves if they've forgotten. I don't think we have any questions, so. Okay, let's begin. We'll start with the application from City of West Lafayette. The first reader is Dr. Amanda Mays.
Okay, starting off in the artistic quality section of their application, I thought they did a great job describing how the project had grown over the last several years and evolved. I thought their description of the commitment that they have to meeting the needs of the community was fairly robust, as well as their choosing programming with artistic merit and relying on outside expertise to do some of that programming. And I also thought the community partnerships that they have in place were very robust to help and create the event. Under the idea engagement section of their application, they have an extremely diversified planning committee, which I thought was great. I would love to see a little bit more information on their application on how they get the community at large involved within their planning process. And I would have liked to see a little bit more information on how they assess program impact once the event is done. And I thought the social media links they provided were very well done, were eye-catching and contained adequate information. Then in the project management section of their application, I thought everything was very well explained. There was a small error on the budget, but the rest of it looked like it was a solid plan and like they have the experience necessary to carry out the grant.
Thank you, Amanda. The second reader, Vicki Draper.
Yes, I too thought this was a good application. Just a couple of things. They didn't say in detail how the Indiana Arts Commission funds would be used that I could find. And I thought there was very little about the arts on the marketing poster and the photos. And those are my only comments.
Thank you, Vicki. Any new, additional, or opposing comments from other panelists?
I would just add to the community engagement and for the importance of capturing what the takeaway is from the program. It seemed to be, it could have a little bit more substance just to be able to assure that, again, what the outcome is intended and that it's met. I just think there needs to be a little bit more explanation of what the tools are for that takeaway to make sure they are capturing what the results are.
Do we have any other panelists with additional, opposing, or comments for this applicant? Okay. Please finalize your scores and update your online comments and let me know if you need any additional time. I'll probably give you about 30 seconds or so unless more time is requested. All right, panelists, are we ready to move on? If anybody needs more time, just say so and I'll wait. Okay. Our next application is the Flora-Monroe Township Public Library. And our first reader is Amanda Finley.
Yeah, thank you. This project is the Flora Public Library's Animal Tales project that's part of their summer reading program. In the artistic quality section, I noted that the breakdown of the program will include were thorough. There were well thought out projects for every age level in the program and that the program intended to serve. I thought the application shared information on the instructor, and her background and areas of expertise seemed to align well with what they're hoping to accomplish from this program. So that seems like a good match from an instructor perspective. Under community engagement and IDEA, I noted that outlined efforts of intentional outreach and inclusive marketing or promotion could feed IDEA goals and improve diversity and access a little bit more. There was almost no, I noticed, diversity noticeable in the attached brochure. And I'm a believer that marketing materials should portray or speak to the audience you want to serve. So there could be a little bit more to be done to feed the IDEA goals. From a project management perspective, I think the timeline and budget seemed well considered and appropriate for the project.
Thank you, Amanda. Our second reader is Phil Potempa.
I would only have a couple quick little additions. There's a proven history with this program, which is wonderful, and the theme seems to definitely capture, an excitement for, enticing participants. My only additional feedback would be underneath the evaluation and idea. I'd like to see a little bit further explanation of the marketing campaign. It's a wonderful program, but of course we want to get as many people out there as possible. So a little bit more of a campaign to how to spread the word to ensure that the attendance is, everything that they would have in their expectations. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Do any of the other panelists have any new, additional, or opposing comments to add?
Can I jump in here? I'd like to add this happens to be one of my areas of expertise. So this is more in terms of their programmatic framework concept type ideas. So I think the concept that they're working with of relating artwork back to literature is a really great method of teaching, and that's shown in the research over and over again. What I would question from them and ask them to think a little bit more about is that prescribing one way of making art to children is a little bit formulaic and doesn't leave much room for the students who are participating to add in their own creative thoughts. So they provided an example of using Frida Kahlo's self-portraits with animals and building projects based upon that. Instead of locking children into essentially mimicking her work, could they think of doing things like presenting her work and then letting students decide how that best interests them and how they're inspired by Kahlo's work instead? I was disappointed to see that the website, or at least when I tried to look at it, was not working correctly and that there weren't a lot of evidence of past projects. So I would like to see them add that to their online portions. And then this is something you're going to hear from me a lot, but I think their assessment plan is not quite where it needs to be. I would like to see them give a little bit more thought to how they are deciding whether or not a project is successful, and including asking the actual students what was meaningful for them and what did they take away from participating in the project.
Thank you. Do we have any more additional or opposing comments from other panelists?
I had a quick comment about, I don't think the information conveyed how these artists or programs were selected, or if there was a committee that makes that decision. But that was it.
Thank you. Any more additional comments, opposing or otherwise? Okay, if panelists, will you please finalize your scores and update your online comments? Please let me know if you need more time. Panelists, does anyone need any more time? Okay. Our next application is the Fountain County Arts Council. Our first reader is Dr. Barb Lucas.
Okay. And this is for Courthouse Summer Concert Series. And I feel that providing 5 free concerts to the community throughout the next year is a wonderful goal. The fact that they had 2 concerts last year gave them some solid experience to plan this year's project. They do use a questionnaire to assess audience interest and then choose bands that they're bringing in based on interest from their own community. The variety of the musical genres that they have selected will hopefully and likely please the folks in their community. So I felt like the overall artistic quality of what they're bringing in looks very solid, very, very positive. Then moving into community engagement, idea. My comments are, since the concerts are free, they should be able to include members from all income levels, should be wide open to everyone in their community, and that adults and families, children, they should appeal to people of all ages from their community. And they mentioned they're inviting the local nursing care facility. So that's one way of reaching out to a group that otherwise might not get involved. So I want to praise them for doing that. And I predict that their audience will be even bigger this year than it was during their trial run last year. They talked about it being difficult to get the word out in their community, but through word of mouth, I have a feeling that this project will grow this summer over the past. And I had one suggestion that might bring in more young people. I would suggest they talk to local music teachers, maybe the band teacher in their high school, and possibly invite through the music teachers, some of the local students to do kind of a warm-up performance before the main concert. And that might pull in teenagers and a broader range of younger people to the concert as a way of expanding their audience. And under project management, their Arts Council appears to have a very strong committee, a large committee working on the project, and they're working closely with their town city leadership as far as setup. It's going to be on the courthouse area, closing off some of the streets, so there appears to be a good community partnership, and it should help even grow a stronger sense of community in the Covington area because of this arts project. I believe that was all the comments that I had.
Thank you, Dr. Lucas. Our second reader is Jackie Varela.
Hello. I think all I'm gonna add is that it was very clear goals and the project sounds like a really great idea for the community lacking art. And I did have a question under artistry, and it was if anyone on the panel for selecting artists was young, in the young demographic, or if they had a person of color, to provide some feedback from their perspectives. And then under community engagement, I had regarding the intention to reach surrounding cities like Lafayette and Crawfordsville. I would suggest also including them in the surveys if possible. It wasn't clear on how the input was obtained. So I thought I would suggest that on there. Also try including more diverse genres to include the diversity in Lafayette and Crawfordsville. Maybe try including a bilingual playing band. There's a lot here in the local area that play both Spanish and English. As an example, the idea is great and the community seems to enjoy the concert from the pictures that I saw and the videos provided. I would also recommend a more appealing flyer just so it pops out more when doing your marketing. And that's all I had.
Thank you, Jackie. Do we have any new, additional, or opposing comments from other panelists?
I would like to echo I want to see more diversity in terms of the artists that they are presenting. Although they have a variety of bands, it doesn't look like it's a variety of genres of music. I understand they may be trying to respond to what the community is requesting, but I would like to see that survey at the beginning going out to see what the community is interested in be more robust and to actually show what the entire community wants, not just the people who are likely to be connected to functionally like board members planning that project. As my usual comment, I think they need a better assessment plan in place to measure what success looks like on this project.
Thank you. Do we have any more new, additional, or opposing comments from other panelists?
Just in reading the anticipated content and the programming as described, having just at least some sense of what the musical themes might be or what they're leaning to, I think would even add, a little further clue into who they're going to capture and who's going to attend. So I would like to have seen just a little more of an idea. I know it's a work in progress, but an idea on the upfront of what are some of the at least considered musical themes or content for this series to give a little more insight. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any other panelists have new, additional, or opposing comments? Okay, panelists, please finalize your scores and update your online comments. Please let me know if you need more time. Panelists, if anybody needs additional time, would you please let me know? Okay, our next application is Friends of the Frankfurt Public Library. Our first reader is Phil Potempa.
I love the idea, and I found it very innovative, of this youth audio drama podcast. And as I kind of expressed in my comments, it's a way of marrying the past and the present, and radio's having such a great renaissance that it's a fantastic opportunity. For the description of the project, I just wish I could have, again, a little bit more of a sense of where they were planning to head for their platform and for their themes in creating a podcast. You know, the content is everything, and so knowing a little more of where their guidance would be for what the expectation is could certainly change what, again, the outcomes are, or where they're going to go with this. So, you know, again, I think it's innovative and fantastic. I just was looking for a little bit more on the upfront of a description and delve a little bit deeper into what the plan, themes, and content might be for this program. For the community engagement, diversity areas, I felt like the application satisfied what they were going for and for what the plans were to attain, what their mission and their goal. For the outcome that's planned, I felt like they had plenty of information that satisfied that area. And for project management, the same thing. I believe that what they've provided was certainly met or satisfied the requirements as addressed in the outline, at least through my perception. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Our second reader is Amanda Finley.
Yeah, thank you. From an artistic quality perspective, I thought that the incorporation of the recorded audio and radio simulated platform with the arts and technology aspects is a nice marriage of those two areas. Audio technology can be complicated, and the opportunity of participation, kind of evaluating student knowledge of that technology, seems like a useful value add for deeper impact. From a community engagement and idea perspective, I think that the research and data that informed this program's positioning was really impressive. The idea strategies in planning and marketing and implementation seemed deep, and I think there's significance in developing a program from scratch that addresses gaps in accessibility. So the program seemed to be designed to address those gaps. It also applied a new model to an old art form and meets the demographic where they are. I thought those were both positive notes on this project. Again, the budget and timeline seemed well considered and matched the project. I might suggest that the library explore any potential partnerships for elevating the quality of the equipment for recording. That was mentioned as line items in the budget, but if there are any community efforts that would also benefit from access to that equipment, there may be collaborative opportunities for nice equipment that'll last a long time.
Thank you, Amanda. Do any of our panelists have any additional opposing comments at all to add? Okay. Panelists, would you please take this time to finalize your scores and update your online comments? Please let me know after this pause if you need additional time. Okay, if none of our panelists need additional time, we'll proceed to application number 5. Okay. Application number 5 is Gamma Eta chapter of Kappa 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 Incorporated. Our first reader is Jackie Varela.
Okay. For this one, I thought that their process for coming up with the group WinSync was really well thought out. They are known internationally, and they take special interest in reaching children, families, and the underserved. So that encompasses a big group of people. For artistry, for community engagement, I talked about their flyer. Maybe adding some color to the flyer might make it more appealing to the eye, and make it pop out more for their marketing. Excuse me. For project management, I thought that they had explained.
Jackie, you hit your mute button.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay, let me go back to community engagement. I thought it was pretty well explained, and I talked about their marketing. Their flyer might need more color to be more appealing to the eye, but very well done. They explained their promotion and how they're connected with the community, and how they're all I'm so sorry. Connected with the community and working together for the community. And it looks like they've had success in the past. And I thought it was a really well thought out project. Their project management they answered everything, and I thought it was pretty well done.
Thank you, Jackie. Our second reader is Dr. Amanda Mays.
And I thought there was some pretty clear evidence that the group that they were choosing was of high quality. What I wasn't clear on in that section was what was happening at the public performance versus what is happening at the school performance, and what would be the incentive for children especially to want to be at both. In the community engagement section, I thought they did a great job explaining the website and the social media for the artists that they were bringing, and again, kind of backing up that those were great groups to have into the community. But I was left without a real sense of how they promote the event through any other channel outside of sharing just the artist site. I would have liked to have seen more of their own website, their own social media channels, to see what they're doing to promote the event. And I also didn't see a lot of evidence that the community, the larger community, was helping to plan the event. And I would also like to see a more robust plan for reaching underserved community members. I'm very encouraged that the event was free, but outside of financial barriers, I'm not seeing enough evidence that there's an attempt to break down other barriers. And that's all I have for comments.
Thank you, Dr. Mays. Do any of our other panelists have additional new or opposing comments to add?
I just have a quick thought. The no cost, like Dr. Amanda May said, the no cost ticket is a good way to remove the financial barrier. But the first come, first served nature of distribution could present problems if awareness and marketing isn't really intentional to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to get in that first come group.
Thank you, Amanda. Additional panelists with new or opposing comments that they would like to add?
In reviewing the application, I found that each of the areas were a little bit general, and I would like a little bit more detail and specifics. I know, again, it's a work in progress, but just a little more of the fine tuning as explained. In this case, you know, I think more is more. So just a little bit more fine tuning and detail for what the focus and the scope, as well as, again, as that outreach and engagement would have been helpful for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Again, any new additional or opposing comments from other panelists? Okay. Panelists, would you please take this time to finalize your scores and update your online comments? And let me know at the end if you need additional time. Do any panelists need more time? Okay. We'll be proceeding to application number 6, which is from the International Center of West Lafayette. Our first reader is Vicki Draper.
Yes, I'm sorry. I had a hard time with this one. Food is not grantable by the IAC in a project. Here's a whole project that's centered around food. Nevertheless, I scored it according to the quality of the application, which was quite good. I understand that the IAC will not fund any food for this particular event or any other event. The project summary was well written and concise. I enjoyed reading it. They used past experiences to inform this year's project. I thought they did a nice job with that. The goal was very clear. I wondered about the selection of home cooks. Maybe they had more to say and just didn't say it, but I wondered about the quality control for home cooks. I see that the vendors had to submit menus for approval to the International Center, and I thought that was a good idea. I didn't see any underserved communities in the planning portion. They were not clearly defined. The evaluation process is well constructed with many different facets. I really enjoyed the marketing materials and the social media. That's well done. The staffing is excellent and lead staff seems to be well experienced. The timeline is well constructed and easy to read. Budget materials are well thought out. That's what I have.
Thank you, Vicki. Our second reader is Dr. Barb Lucas.
I would simply add that the fact that there's free admission to the whole festival that this is part of, and they talk about keeping the food prices low, should help make this total activity, the food, the festival, but we're talking about the food part, should make it open to all. So hopefully, and it is very, very well attended. It's happened for 45 years. They talked about how they used to hold it in the basement, I believe, of the Catholic Church, and it just was so crowded. They needed more space. So they joined the Global Fest activity and have lots of space. It sounds like the crowds are very, very large. So I just made a comment. I think I want to put it on my calendar and try to attend. So that's all I would add.
Thank you, Barb. Do we have any new, additional, or opposing comments from other panelists?
I'd like to see some more comments on how they're addressing diversity and access outside of culture and financial. I didn't see a lot of evidence in that and in their application. And I would also like to see a more solid assessment plan. I think it's great that they're debriefing as a committee, but I would like to see more evidence that they're reaching out to the community that the event is serving and looking to get their feedback as well.
Thank you. Again, any new, additional, or opposing comments from other panelists?
This is Deanna with the Indiana Arts Commission. I just wanted to jump in to clarify a point that was brought up about food being ineligible for the application, which is correct. However, they can include that in their budget as long as they have their own funds to put towards those expenses. It's just our funds that cannot be used for food and beverage.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments from panelists? Okay, at this time, would the panelists please finalize your scores and update your online comments? Following this, please let me know if you need additional time. Great. Do any panelists need more time? Okay. We'll be moving on to application 7 from Joyful Journey Incorporated Adult Day Service. Our first reader is Dr. Barb Lucas.
Okay, and this is a project for an artist in residence, Denise Wilson, at Joyful Journey. And I felt this project was amazing for several reasons. First, it was sparked by Joyful Journey's 5-year strategic planning process. So it's part of a long-range plan for their organization. Second, the music sessions provided by Denise Wilson will occur bi-monthly over a year's time. So it's not just 1 or 2 quick music concerts or sessions with the residents or with the friends, but it will occur 24 times over the next year. The friends who have cognitive and physical challenges, they will be totally engaged in the sessions. They will be listening to Denise Wilson, plus interacting with her in the way that she presents her music, her session, and they will be learning as well from her. Denise Wilson, I know is an outstanding musical artist. I have seen her interacting in other settings as a member of Traveler's Dream, and I've seen her at elementary schools in our area, and I've seen how the audience gets very involved and how that interaction is very exciting. So I believe that at Joyful Journey, the friends will grow to love her even more than if it were just a one or two kinds of interactions, but the 24 sessions throughout the year, to me, it makes me feel like it's a very, very strong project. So I make all those comments under the artistic section. Under community engagement, I felt it was strong that the individual support that the friends will receive from the staff at Joyful Journey, it was very positive. The staff are trained to use an approach that they talked about called positive approach to care. This will help the friends understand and participate in the sessions each as they are able. But they're not just going to be an audience sitting alone, but they will have support in getting as much as possible out of the sessions. And then they talk about using a rubric to evaluate each friend's experience, not the session as a whole, but each individual friend's experience. And I was impressed by that idea. Project management. I just felt this was a strong project in all area. I want to compliment all who created it. I feel like the friends that are the focus of it, that Denise Wilson and indeed the staff will all benefit from the project and from their interaction with one another. And I mentioned that I wish I could drop in and observe the joy that will be experienced by everyone. I predict it will be very, very joyful. And that's all I had in my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Lucas. Second reader will be Dr. Amanda Mays.
I just have a few things to add. I thought this was an extremely well done application. I thought their online presence was really wonderfully laid out and current and up to date. They had a clearly laid out training program for their staff that I thought was excellent. And I would say arguably the best assessment plan out of all of the applications in this grouping. I too was really encouraged to see that they were using a rubric to look at impact for each individual resident. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Mays. Do any other panelists have, excuse me, have additional or opposing comments that they would like to add? Okay. Panelists, would you please take this time to finalize your scores and update your online comments? Following this, let me know if you need any additional time. Do we have any panelists that need more time? Okay, we'll be proceeding to application 8, LTHC Homeless Services. Our first reader is Dr. Amanda Mays.
Okay, this application was building off of a project that I believe they piloted last year. I was really encouraged to see them using feedback that they received from the panel in the previous year's application, and really appreciate the idea for the project and think it's a great concept. Right now, though, as the application sits, I thought there wasn't enough information really to judge what the artistic quality of this was going to be. I would like to have a better sense of how they're going to be picking their teaching artists to work with their community members. Specifically, whether their mindset is more we're bringing in studio folks to teach this, or we're bringing in teachers who have studio skills. So I thought that the artistic quality section of their application definitely needed some more information than what was provided. Underneath the community engagement and idea section, they're obviously representing an underserved population functioning by the entire project, which I think is great. Their website and their Facebook page were included and well designed. I would encourage them to include a special page or header on their website that is strictly related to this project and the art that is being created. Per my usual comments, I'm also a bit unclear as to what their assessment plan really is and how they are gauging success and what success for this project looks like, and then what measuring tools they are using to determine whether or not that has happened. So I would encourage them to include more information on the surveys that they plan to use. Under the project management section, I thought that section was relatively well done and that their planning seems adequate. Yeah, and I think that's all I have in terms of comments for this one.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mays. Our second reader, I'm sorry, is Amanda Finley.
Yeah, that was very thorough. Thank you. I think, you know, to reiterate the idea that they've built this program around feedback that they receive directly from clients will hopefully have a positive impact on participation numbers and reach on this. I think there could be interesting opportunities to explore spaces in the community if the conversations with Purdue galleries aren't fruitful or don't lead to a plan that can move forward. Under community engagement and idea, I thought that they did a good job of considering and addressing barriers that are associated with their particular underserved demographics, including transportation, inclusion, and feeling welcomed in art spaces. And from a project management perspective, I think that the project manager that they identified in their application as a local artist with a strong history in community-based art is promising. I think that's a good indicator of potential success for the program. Their measurement section of their application did deep dive some of the data that their previous year's programs had as far as reach and participation goes, and they identified more partnerships as a key, I guess, approach to increasing reach and participation this year.
Thank you, Amanda. At this time, do any of our panelists have any new, additional, or opposing comments that they would like to add? All right. At this time, would the panelists please finalize your scores and update your online comments? I think at this time, we're going to go ahead and allow panelists to take a 5-minute break. So if you need to get some water or do anything pressing, feel free to do so, and we'll come back in about 5 minutes. Okay, it looks like we have everybody back except I'm not sure I see Jacqueline. So we'll just wait on her to come back and we'll pick up right where we left off.
Hi all, it's Brett Roberts. Is there any tech questions while we finish up this break here? Cool. Everybody's doing wonderful with the mute and unmute, so that's been great.
Okay, it looks like everybody is back at this point. Let me just make sure that we have my friend that's not on video. Where is she at? One of our... Do we, can somebody help me making sure that, I think we have a panelist that was not on video. She was just called in. Is she here?
Yeah,
Hey,
I see Vicky.
Is she? Okay, for some reason I can't find her screen. Okay. So we will be moving on to, sorry, I moved myself.
Can we have Vicky just make sure she's here real quick? Vicky, can you unmute yourself so we know you're here?
She's here.
I can try to unmute her manually. Let's try that.
Yes,
Vicky,
I'm
can you
here.
hear
I'm
us?
sorry. How do you unmute? I can't do it.
That's a good question. It should be on your phone, but if not, I'll just keep you on unmuted and you just maybe try to make very little noise.
It's a
Will that
deal.
work?
It's a deal.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, now that we have, thank you for your help, Brett. Now that we've confirmed that we have everybody back, we will be moving on to application number 9 from MSD of Warren County, doing business as the Warren County Learning Center. Our first reader will be Jackie Varela.
Okay. I was very impressed with this program and the process of obtaining artists and changing the program classes to continue to engage the students, and how they really do take the community's input and implement those changes. I also liked how they showed, they were very informative on the different age groups, classes, the diversification of the bands, and the showing constant improvement from community input. It sounds like the community is very involved and participates. And I did have a suggestion on the Mexican Fiesta Day, to maybe try to encompass not just one of the Latino cultures, but maybe start implementing several. But it is a good start if they're just starting. And oh, and I was really impressed that they had special software for the blind and the deaf. And I would like to see more of the questions that they asked on their surveys. But overall, really good project.
Thank you, Jackie. Our second reader will be Dr. Barb Lucas.
Barb, it looks like you're on mute still.
Sorry about that. I was saying I would have liked to have seen a document possibly from last summer's activities specific to what they did, so I had a sense for what their publicity for this summer's activities would look like in more detail. I wondered a bit how they get the word out. I wasn't real clear on that. And that was all.
Thank you, Dr. Lucas. At this time, do any other panelists have additional new or opposing comments that they would like to add?
Under community engagement and idea, I did appreciate that they had a clear funnel built to provide leadership opportunities that are inclusive for individuals helping to plan this program and be involved in it.
Thank you, Amanda. Any additional panelists with comments to add?
I would like to see a little bit more thought given on their assessment and, again, what project success looks like. And in terms of their presence online, their website appeared to be out of date, and the Facebook link that they provided has a 404 error message. So I wasn't able really to get a good sense of what this has looked like in the past and how they plan to promote it.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mays. Additionally, do we have any more comments from panelists to add? Okay, panelists, if you would take this time to please finalize your scores and update your online comments. And following this, let me know if you need additional time. Do we have any panelists that need additional time? All right, we'll be moving on to application 10, which is from the Wabash Music Festival. Our first reader is Vicki Draper.
I really liked this whole idea. It's a roots music festival, and I thought it was terrific, and it's been around for long enough that they know what they're doing pretty well. The goal was very clear. I was unclear on how they chose the artists. I didn't know whether there was some mechanism for that, or they all just got together and said, let's hire so-and-so. The description really made me want to attend. I put it on my calendar. Does anyone from their included communities help plan? I didn't get any indication that they did. And I'm not sure that they encourage new blood, which would be nice. Idea strategies were not clearly defined. The ticket prices were quite reasonable, and it's great that the seminars are free, as are tickets for 12 and under. The social media and poster were impressive. The lead staff experience was very impressive. I would have liked to have known how the other 10 committee members were chosen and what their qualifications were. The timeline is well done. I thought the budget was pretty close to the bone. I see they do a lot of fundraising. Can they do more or maybe hire somebody part-time? There are consultants that do that part-time. I would recommend that. I just wonder what would happen if they lost a major sponsor or something like that. They need a little more depth of budget, I think. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Vicki. Our second reader is Phil Potempa.
Thank you. From my perspective, the overall narrative and description could benefit from a few more nuts and bolts. I know it's got a couple years history, but it was still just a little bit general for me to secure what the focus is and again, what the overall outcome anticipated should be. And along those lines, I felt the evaluation and assessment could be stronger, again, to know if they're going to be capturing who it is they're looking for and to overall achieve their goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Do any of our other panelists have any new opposing or additional comments that they would like to make at this time?
I'm not sure if this is accurate or a clerical error, but under projected participation, the total number is 85, and for a $43,500 event budget, that's $500 per participant. So I'm wondering if that was just a misunderstanding of the question or if the participation is anticipated to be that low.
Thank you, Amanda. Do we have any additional comments from our panel at this time? Okay. Would our panelists take a few moments to finalize your scores and update your online comments? And following this, please let me know if you need some additional time. Do I have any panelists that need more time? All right, we'll proceed to application 11 from the Tipton Community Theater. Our first reader is Phil Potempa.
Thank you. This community theater group has got their eyes set on a full production of the musical Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, along with a complete kit orchestra. For a couple weekends, it would be nice with all the time, effort, and resources that will go into this, if maybe it might even be able to go for a few more performances, was one of the questions that I had. But I felt like the narrative was descriptive and focused. They have a proven history, so they already know the wranglings of producing a full-scale production. For community engagement, I felt it was fully thought out, and that, again, they have the plan to net and capture who they want as participants, who they believe will fill the audience seats, which was great, easy to follow. And for project management, all of the numbers and the budget and the math added up in my mind for what it would take to encompass and accomplish this. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Our next Our second reader, I'm sorry, is Jackie Varela.
There we go. I have an issue with the mute button today. I didn't really have anything more than what Phil did. I did like that it had a lot of community involvement since they obtained their cast from the community members. But other than that, I didn't have any extra comments.
Thank you, Jackie. Do we have any additional comments from other panelists?
I have some questions. In the first part of their application, they're referencing past productions, but then they're also listing this as a new project and entered 0 for the number of years that it occurred. So I don't have a firm understanding of whether this is a long-running project and whether they've been funded in the past. I have some questions about how they are selecting which musicals to present and who's getting a say in that, and specifically more broadly involving the community and what they select. Lion King is one I could obviously see being a hit in the past. I question whether Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is tremendously relevant for children now. Underneath the community engagement and idea section, they mention working on identifying underserved youth, but they're not detailing enough how they're planning to accomplish that goal. And I also wanted to state that I pretty firmly disagree with the notion that the success of a show is measured at the box office. That's one potential measure of success, but I'm not seeing enough evidence that they're trying to figure out what their cast and crew and audience members actually take away from the performance, and specifically for those involved, what they're taking out of their collective time together. And I thought I just needed more evidence in this entire section, that the single postcard scan is not telling me enough about what they need to do.
Thank you. Again, additional comments from our panel. With that, we will be asking the panelists to finalize your scores and update your online comments. I'll give you a couple of seconds and let me know if you need more time. Do we have any panelists that need additional time? All right, we'll be moving forward to application 12 from Wabash Center. Our first reader is Amanda Finley.
Thanks. So on this application that focused on a center that is new, I believe, in the Wabash Center, under the artistic qualities section, the project's goal is to make space for art available to the clients that the Wabash Center serves, and to provide guided art activities in that space are thoughtful. I think they could be quite impactful. Based on my understanding of the application, it seems that much of the artist participation, though, relies on volunteers. And it wasn't entirely clear if those are artists who are already volunteers with the Wabash Center, or if there's a program or plan in place to recruit volunteers for this specific project. Under community engagement and idea, from an impact measurement perspective, more intentionality and frequency in soliciting feedback from both the clients and their care teams could ensure that the program is delivering what it intends to deliver, especially as it is new. Annual frequency may be too infrequent to ensure that the project is continuing to meet the goals that it set out for itself. And then the director under project management, the director of the program was listed in the application. Her areas of expertise and experience, I think, are well aligned with the project goals. The program budget seemed thorough and well researched with specifically identified training programs for the project, and I appreciated that aspect of the research that went into this as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Amanda. Our second reader is Phil Potempa.
I have very little to add other than what my colleague has, with the exception of, I like that, you know, again, this is reaching an often overlooked segment, which is great. And then I would just encourage all the applicants, especially this one as well, to keep in mind for marketing campaign, getting the word out, to think of all of the mediums and not just online or not just a print poster, but also traditional press releases, newspapers, radio outlets, just to make sure that every effort is taken to spread the word as much as possible to draw participants. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. At this time, do any additional panelists have any new or opposing comments that they would like
I'm
to
on a
add?
conference call. I can't hang it up.
I have something to add. I thought their website and their social media sites were really lovely and well maintained. Again, I question their assessment strategies. An increase in participants is certainly one measure of success, but again, it's a single measure. I suspect depth of involvement with people who are returning and making art more than once is probably more meaningful for this type of project, and I'm not seeing a clear way that that's being measured. I think they need to give a little bit more thought about who is best served by this project, because they talk about it being open just generally to staff without giving much of a rationale for why that's being offered. And then I also question like this scope of this for a first year project, trying to get it up and off the ground. I suspect they may be biting off a little bit too much, and that trying to sell at art markets and the staffing to be able to do that, how that was going to happen to me wasn't really clear how they would get that off the ground in a first year project.
Thank you. Again, any additional or opposing views from our panelists? All right, panelists, if you would take this time, excuse me, to finalize your scores and update your online comments. We'll give you a few minutes or a few seconds, and then let me know if you need more time. Do I have any panelists that need additional time? Okay, well, we're going to move on to application 13. This is from Wabash College. Our first reader will be Dr. Barb Lucas.
Okay. Artistically, I felt that they have come up with 3 very high quality performances between a music group, then a theater performance, a puppeteer. They all seemed like very unique experiences that the audience probably has not had anything similar in the past. So I think they're going to be good new things to bring. They also say that each of the groups will provide a workshop or a master class when they are at the college. I'd be interested in hearing a little bit more detail about the workshops, the master classes, who they're presented to exactly. I'd like to know more about that. And I'd like to hear a bit more about how they selected the groups that they selected. What steps did the planning committee go through? I wasn't clear on that. Then under community engagement, they talked about a survey of audience members. So audience members appeared to be thoroughly surveyed after each event. I wondered about any face-to-face input before they select who their artists will be. And I wondered if there were any members of the broad community at large on the planning committee. It definitely involved a lot of Wabash College staff, but I wondered about the broader community. If there's involvement, I couldn't tell. And under project management, faculty and staff who are involved, it sounds like they're involved for at least a 2-year term between a planning committee and implementation committee. So that process seems like it's very solid. And in fact, this visiting artist series has existed at the college for 41 years. So there's a really solid history to it. And I guess my final comment was simply kudos to Wabash for bringing these rich performances to the college, to the community, free of charge. So again, it should be available to individuals from all income levels in their community. And that was all that I had.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lucas. Our second reader will be Dr. Amanda Mays.
A few things to add. Again, really happy to see the diversity in the programming that they are trying to offer to their community. And that's wonderful. I would like to see more information in their application on how they are addressing other idea strategies. I felt like that was largely left out. Again, I'm not seeing a lot of evidence that they're getting input from the community at large. I thought their partnerships with the local schools are great, but I don't have a sense of how they're reaching out to other populations. And then I would encourage them in the future to cite social media references that directly relate to the project and not the college generally.
All right, thank you to our readers. Do we have any other panelists with new or opposing points of view that they would like to add?
I did appreciate the thorough marketing plan that they outlined in their application and the understanding that these efforts usually require a multi-channel approach and that it's not easy to execute, but will likely result in a broader audience experiencing the art.
Thank you. Any further additional comments? All right, panelists, would you please take this time to finalize your scores and update your online comments and let me know if you need some more time. Do I have any panelists that need some additional time? Okay, we will move forward to application 14 from West Lafayette Public Library. Our first reader is Phil Potempa.
Thank you. In looking through the description of what's planned for this family fun day event, this is a popular, outing that a lot of entities will sponsor, and I think it's clear that not all family fun days are created equally. It might just be the journalist in me or the newspaper reporter, but I felt like it's a little bit general as far as the mission and what's intended for the actual focus, and for the events, I'd like a little bit more of that detail. Overall, if you go a little further into the application and dig where it has the engagement assessment, the primary area that I thought could be a little stronger, I would just recommend for the applicant is, again, making sure that they have the tools in place and the means to capture that assessment for anybody that's attended or those that have participated, that the outcome that they are anticipating or are hopeful of has actually been achieved. And there's a number of different ways to capture that, none of which I really found explained as thoroughly as I'd like for this application. For the project management, I felt like timeline and the numbers and the math satisfied my perspective, and at least everything that I needed for this particular application. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Our second reader is Amanda Finley.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. That was thorough. I thought the history and the growth of this event were both impressive. The arts-related aspects did seem like they may be more peripheral, though the incorporation and focus on crafts and interactive performances for a family fun day is understandable and makes sense. There may be an opportunity to amplify the cross-section of literature and art to provide a more impactful and varied experience for the participants. Under community engagement and idea, a lot of the identified community served by this project seem to focus heavily on the university and the diversity within and transitory nature of that specific demographic. It could be impactful to expand the identified community served by this project to include West Lafayette residents and Lafayette residents beyond the Purdue community as well. And while cited census data identified racial diversity in the application, it doesn't mention efforts focused on marketing to or being intentionally inclusive of a diverse audience for the event or in selecting the partners or artists for this event. And then under project management, I think that Phil mentioned this, but I think that the team working on the project is clearly experienced in hosting this event and understands the timeline and budget needs well.
Thank you, Amanda. At this time, do other panelists have any additional comments that they would like to add on this application? All right. At this time, panelists, would you please finalize your scores and update your online comments? And I think that will bring us to our final application. So I'll give you just a couple of seconds and do this last application. Do I have any panelists that need additional time? Okay, so application 15 is from the YWCA of Greater Lafayette. Our first reader is Jackie Varela.
I thought this project was really good. On artistry, I thought maybe finding a way to incorporate more community involvement, participation would be good. Under community engagement, it was well explained and appreciated the statistics they provided. I would, however, like to see what the pretest and post-test that they talked about included, what type of questions they were. And what type of information they collected from that. And I would like to see more details on how they plan to market the event to incorporate the community. Excuse me. Under project management, format was the information was pretty good. The itemized project budget was not followed exactly, but it was understood. And other than that, I thought it was a really good, thorough project.
Thank you, Jackie. Our second reader is Vicki Draper.
Used any of their included communities in the planning, and that might be a nice thing to do. That's my only comment.
Do any of our other panelists have new, additional, or opposing comments that they would like to add? Okay. With that, will our panelists please finalize your scores and update your online comments? This will conclude the Arts Project Support Panel. Applicants will be notified of the status of their grant following the June meeting of the Indiana Arts Commission. If you have any questions, please contact Ann Fields-Monaco from TAF. And thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much. As a note to the panelists, please stay on the line while we work on getting guests out of the call.